And so what Spengler Plumbing told them, they said, well, what do you think we should do over the next 5 years? And they usually use the system to let the employees sell themselves. And what do the employees say? Well, I think we should go back to that training so we can keep ourselves sharp. We have to do this, come back every single year. And so what I want to announce before I even get started, because this ties right into what I'm talking about, is a dedication to consistency when it comes to training and coaching your people. And what I want to do is I'm going to make an announcement today that we've never made this award before, and I lack a certificate because we just thought of it. I'll be honest, we just thought of this at the meeting, and what we're doing is we're going to award. I want to give an award to Spengler Plumbing for the Educational Contractor of the Year for doing that kind of dedication to training. Go ahead and give everybody. Would you guys stand up, please? I think it's a great story, and it's a great investment. I mean, these people, every time we have a seminar, I know I got 2 people in the seminar at least, you know. And for that, I want to award them a $1,997 scholarship for a free scholarship. So you guys have one. You have one coming. How's that sound? One in the bank. Give them a big round of applause there. And certainly well earned. And you know, and I want to talk about how this. I think the reason why they are successful. I mean, with people already, there's really no motivation from a financial standpoint that their employees could have to improve. They're already making the best money that they could make in the area. I mean, anywhere else they would go, they take a pay cut, right? They can't jump ship somewhere else. And they look at the union environment. If they went somewhere else, they'd have to go to a place they actually have to work for a living more, as opposed to communicate more, you know? And talk about accountability. We're going to talk about how companies, different ways of holding accountability. So what's an in-house performance coach? Creating an in-house performance coach. Well, you send people to total immersion, and you do training with our company and other companies, whatever you do, whatever you choose. It doesn't have to be our company. It could be anybody. Then there's a disconnect. People come home from the seminar, and what will happen if you do not take batting practice every single day? You're gonna drop off. All of a sudden, I guess hitting the ball is not important. We never practiced that. So if your team was a baseball team and all you ever practiced was fielding drills, and they said no batting practice, we don't care about that. And your organization was sending the message that we really don't value hitting the ball. We just value fielding the ball. Pretty soon, what kind of team would you have?
We're going to be points.
There'd be a lot of. We'd have a lot of games that end up we lose by 1-0 or 3-0 probably because we had good defense. We probably average like under 2 runs per game given up, but we never score a run, so we probably lose pretty much most of our games, right? Every now and then, a guy gets lucky and a bat would hit a ball, and we're like, holy cow, we actually got it. We won a game, you know, just by luck, you know, because in Major League Baseball, 30% of the games you're always going to win, 30% you're always going to lose. It's the middle third that you're doing that batting practice for. There's never been a team in history who lost more than 30% or won more than 30, you know, one more than the 60%. The middle 30% is where it's at. You know, so the bottom line is that creating an in-house performance coach is somebody keeping their eye on the ball literally, that when you invest in training, and it's a significant amount of money, because let's build the blocks here. I mean, I'm not trying to anti-sell my program. We have a training programs that we sell. It's right on our banner. They're going to be in Dallas and St. Louis and Los Angeles this spring. But it's a sizable investment. It's $1,997, and then there's the hotels. You're not making any money off this guy. There is all kinds of weird and wild things can happen out there with your people when they're on the roads like this, you know. So it's an investment and there's a risk, you know. For that, how does it make any sense that you would spend all this money and time putting the training into an employee and then not holding them accountable to using what you paid for? Does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't, Joe.
Exactly. Thank you. It's a rhetorical question again, Kathy, but you can answer it. No, I'm not. I wouldn't say that. So, you know, let's talk about the state of service management. And what I see is that the state of service management is really no management. It's really, you know, some of the best practice companies have done really great with getting people in touch with their numbers. Would you agree the average contractor really knows more about if we're making money or not on a daily basis than they knew like 15, 20 years ago? I mean, 15, 20 years ago, the way you kept your financials was if your checkbook has a positive balance in it. And most of the time, even the contractor never even filled out the ledger on his checkbook, so he wouldn't even know that. That was, it's too busy. He's working all the time, right? So in today's world, we've gone further. people can tell on a real-time basis if we're doing good. Some of the best practice groups have got some really great tools and financial aspects to know your KPIs. You heard that term now? Do we know what that means? What does that mean? What? Performance indicators, right? Key performance indicators. And so a lot of people know this. Yet, I still think the state of management is still in confusion because they know the numbers, and now they're like, look at that. Jimmy is sucking wind. I can't believe it. $2,000. He just went to the seminar. It must be Joe Crisara's fault. You know, he didn't train him good enough, right? Or maybe it's just Jimmy's fault. He's an idiot. He can't be trained. He's not smart enough, you know. And then, so you start thinking about everything else. But as Rick Picard said, when something's going wrong, what's the first thing you should assume is really happening here? Who's the first person you should look at to say, has this person really helped us? Who's that person we're talking about? Yourself, you know. What have you done to hold your people accountable to the investment that you're making in the training and the coaching and the effort you put out there? Because the cost is not just a real cost, it's a cost in time where a manager could be marketing his company better, recruiting other employees. Instead, he's working with his current employee. And I'll tell you, all the marketing ideas in the world, you could have a full-time marketing guy bring all kinds of great leads in, but if those people cannot execute a sale off that lead, what is that marketing worth? You make all this investment, even leads come in. Actually, it's almost an embarrassment. We go out and blow through all these calls, and guess what? I'd rather not even have any leads if I can't convert. Why? Because every time we go out there and blow a lead, it's negative advertising that's saying that you guys are too expensive, you don't have enough value, and I'm going with somebody else. So it's a decisive situation where people choose a different company for market share and go a different direction. And when you lose a call, you're not just losing a call. You're feeding your competition and making them stronger. Not making yourself, it's not only are you getting weaker, but the competition is getting stronger and they feed off of it. They start saying, yeah, go over to Jerry's Heating and Cooling, get a price from them, then call us, we'll give you a price for a water heater. You ever hear that one before? Why? Because they know you can't communicate value, and you're going to throw a price out there for $2,000 for a water heater, and it's like, yeah, I just do them for $1,200. And it's like, wow, that's a lot better, $800 less. You know, it's a good thing they didn't call the guy for $885 yesterday, and so the price could have been from him. But the state of management, I think, is really one of confusion. And I don't think really people know, they've never been trained how to be a manager. When you ask the average contracting person, what is management training? Well, you got to know your numbers. Okay, you got your numbers. There they are. You know that you got to make $7,500 a truck to make this thing happen on a break even, more or less. And then you say to yourself, oh, Billy's doing $3,000. And there's a disconnect. Now we have the state of confusion. What do we do about it? What's the thing that's next? What are you going to do about it? I tell you what, if you ever talk to Tim Flynn, one of my friends from, ever know Tim from Winters Plumbing up in Boston? If you call him for advice, he is a guy who loves to give people advice. You guys agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
And very decisive, wouldn't you agree? He's not going to give you any kind of pandy-ass bullshit kind of answer. He's going to give you a real solution. And then he's going to say, after he gives it to you, what's he going to ask you about when he gives it to you? Everybody knows Tim? What's he going to say when he gives you some advice on something? Well, I talked to Howard Oven, who's from HO Electric up in Math. One of his guys who's right in his own area called him. He says, yeah, every time I call Tim, he goes, now what are you going to do about it, Howard? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? He just keeps hitting them over and over. He goes, because he will give you advice, but he expects you to do something about it. And like Mike Cottle said yesterday, he doesn't mind people coming into his business and giving the grand tour, even stopping and giving detail. But if you're not going to do anything with that information, what did he say he's probably going to do next time you ask?
No.
You know what? It's a waste. I don't want to burden you with your time wasting here, coming out to Los Angeles and touring my place. What good is it going to do if you haven't even implemented the last thing we talked about, right? What can I give you now that's going to be any better if the last time you didn't do it, right? So I think that state of service management is that we have to connect the dots. Service management should have a system just like salespeople and service people have a system. They should have a way of doing things that is defined, it's processed, and people know exactly what the agenda is every single day. There's no confusion as to what a manager should be doing. You should never have to ask your service manager or sales manager, so what do you got going today? It should be very clearly defined what's happening today. And so it wouldn't be confusing at all. It would be extremely clear. And I'll tell you something, guys. Just like any employee, here's the thing. I talked about this yesterday. I kind of spilled my candy yesterday a little bit. The key to your success, there's two keys when it comes to management. And here's the keys, really. One is to eliminate discretion at the operational level. The fact that anytime you give your employees two ways of doing something, they're always going to choose the wrong way. It's like an instinct they have. They just screw with you just to see what you just to see your reaction. And I used to be an employee back when 1979. I worked in union shops. I'm going to guarantee you, as employees, there are employees out there who just do crap just to see you overreact. Let's see what he says when I say this to him. It's like a human experiment just to F with the boss. How do I know that? I used to be an employee back in the old days. That's why you know what I say is real, because I was on both sides of the fence. And I was in this business, and I see the pain that employees put bosses through just to screw with them. And the fact that you overreact even makes it funner for them. They're sadists. It's crazy. And you're a masochist, so it kind of fits really good. The two go together very well. And so what is it? How do you keep this thing under control? Everybody says, here's the thing I'm going to tell you right now. When you're in service management, the second you're blaming employees, that's the very problem right there. The fact that you allowed this to happen, and you are the enabler who has allowed poor performance, who has allowed bad behavior. Listen, as a manager, you can't hang on every result, right? You can't say everybody's going to sell $10,000 every day. But what can you make them do? What can be done? What are some things you can control?
The training.
What?
The training you give them.
Yeah, the training you can give them, such as what? If I was a manager and somebody had a struggle on a call, well, this lady wouldn't have bought anything from anybody. You ever hear that excuse from an employee who comes back and says, yeah, no matter who was out there, this lady just didn't know. She was just not going to buy from anybody. Really? You think if I sent Rick Picard out there, they wouldn't buy from anybody? You see what I'm saying there? And so it's like the situation is that when somebody says that, one of the questions I would ask, what can I define? Well, I can kind of define the relationship between the people. How would I define if this person really developed a relationship? Now, the manager who's confused would say, did you bond and connect with this lady? Naturally, every employee is going to say what? Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, she loved me. We were like best buds. I mean, she couldn't even. She was like unbelievable. She just thought we were the best in the world. Yeah, well, why didn't she go with us then? She wouldn't have bought from anybody. She's just cheap. Heard that one before? So I would say, well, really, what kind of relationship? Well, let's talk about that relationship. It's so good. What's her husband's name? Oh, I think it was something with an F, started with Fred or Frank, something like that. Yeah, good relationship so far. How about the kids? How many kids they got? There were some toys around, but I wasn't sure exactly what the story was. Okay, was it, how about boys or girls? Oh, come on, Joe. I don't know how many kids there were. I mean, how would I know this, what they were, the gender they were? Their names? How about the pet? What kind of pets do they have?
What was her name?
What was her name? Remember her first name? Oh, geez, that was just like this afternoon. I can't remember what I had for lunch. So what kind of relationship was it really then, in truth? So it's the manager's job to reveal the truth, right? People tell us things, and then we jump to an assumption that what we hear is true. And I have a friend, probably a mutual friend of a lot of us in this group. One of our clients, I did a mentoring with Troy Rainsberg from Horizon Services in Delaware. Everybody know that company on Horizon Services? Troy's a really great guy. And one thing I did learn from that company when I was out there consulting them is this. Dave Gallagher, who owns that company, I sat down and had a meeting. I said, what do you think is the key to you guys growing up here? What's the thing that you really, if you could boil it down to one thing, what would it be? He said, Joe, when you want to make your company successful, you have to inspect what you expect. Write that down. Inspect what you expect.